technical difficulties this morning. You too. It's just been a comedy of errors, but grateful to have time to practice with you and to find some calm and rest. So yes, it's definitely a good time for yoga. Um, I don't need to do any more introduction, although welcome to my living room. I hope someday to have both of you here in person. But in the meantime, this is my living space. And today's practice is going to be very relaxing. So we're not going to, I geared it to be fairly straightforward and accessible, although accessibility looks different to different people. So if there's anything I can do to help before or after, please let me know. Or if you want to talk about anything afterwards, please let me know. But we'll be doing some pretty common poses, and then we'll end in a guided meditation. So just so you're prepared for where we're going. And if you want to grab anything, so blankets, pillows, eye coverings, socks, if you have a mat, that's great. If you don't really need it today. But especially for the guided meditation, since we'll be still for a couple of minutes, sometimes your body temperature drops and it's nice to be cozy. So feel free to grab those, and I'll keep going with just an overview. I always like to start any yoga practice by acknowledging the spiritual lineage. So you may already know this, but yoga has its roots in Vedic India, and it's one of the 6 orthodox schools of Indian philosophy. So it's a tradition that predates, but has very deep connections to Hinduism, Jainism, and Buddhism. So in order to acknowledge the origins of this practice, I wanted to share a little bit about that. There's a classical text of traditional yoga called the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali, could be one person, could be many people, but that is the first documented written organization of yoga, because it has been an oral history, and there are 8 limbs of yoga. So what we'll be practicing centers around asana and pranayama, so movement and breath work. But there are many other limbs to this practice and many definitions, but I think the simplest one that I'll invite you to think about today is that it's a path to union or oneness. So whatever that means to you, this can be a tool and a practice to help you get there. So because this is graduate student week, I wanted to just provide a space for everyone to attend to, yourselves to find perhaps some opening or release in your body and your mind, and to find some rest, because you especially are very busy right now, always busy, but in the middle of a pandemic and many points and places of upheaval and change. And so it's important to find these practices that can help us ground. Like I said, this practice will be pretty straightforward, but I wouldn't ever call any asana easy, because there's depth to every pose and there's challenge that comes with everything. So I'll provide some foundational cues, but we'll kind of remain in some of these poses for a few breaths so that you can explore and just practice awareness. And like I mentioned, we'll end our practice with a guided meditation laying down in Shavasana. That is a way to integrate our movement, our breath, awareness, and sensation. Okay, so we're gonna get started on our back. So I'm gonna join you. I'm gonna open the chat, because if you can't hear me, I'll speak louder. Find a place on your back that is comfortable. So feel free to adjust. And I'll invite you to bring the soles of your feet together and let your knees drop open. So resting in what is known as Supta Baddha Konasana, or reclined cobbler's pose. And your feet can be a little distant from your body, or you can bring them close, whatever feels good. And then when you feel like physically you've been able to find a place of ease and low effort, I'll invite you to place your hands on or around your belly so that you can bring your awareness to your breath. And we'll take 3 breaths together. So inhaling deeply into the belly, expanding through the diaphragm, letting the ribs open, the belly lift. And then exhale through the mouth. Let it go. And again, take a deep inhale, feeling your belly rise beneath your hands. Feeling a sense of buoyancy, and then exhale. And as you release the breath, maybe you feel a little more settling into the floor beneath you. Take one more breath here. Inhale. And release. And then I'll invite you to bring your hands to your center of your chest, where you might consider your heart to be. And just let your hands rest here, feeling the heartbeat. Noticing your emotional state. And we'll take 3 breaths here together. Inhaling. As the belly rises, so does the chest. And exhale through the mouth. Again, inhale. And exhale. And one more deep breath in. And release. And then keep one hand on your heart and bring the other hand back to your belly. And just pause here, letting your breath come back to its natural rhythm. And start to take a line of inquiry into the qualities of sensation that you might be feeling right now, whether physical, any spaces of tension or release, emotional, where you might be holding or resisting, your mental space, where your mind is going right now. And all of the places where those aspects intersect. So for example, you might feel some anxiety or fear about something, and that might resonate in your body as a gripping or a pulling inward of the heart, a rounding of the shoulders, a tension in your hips. There's no judgment here, because everything is. It's all part of the human experience. But practicing awareness can help us be with challenging emotions, challenging sensations, challenging thoughts. And if it's helpful to you, feel free to set an intention for your practice. So maybe there's something that you want to keep in mind as you move, or something that holds hopefulness for you. Or it could be as simple as, I want to feel relaxed. Once you have that intention, hold it, and you can release your hands. Bring the soles of your feet onto the floor, so knees are bent. Feet are a little bit distant from one another, maybe about hips width distance. And we'll start by some gentle pelvic tilts. So I'm going to exaggerate this movement, but they don't have to be this big. So on your inhale, press your tailbone down as you arch your spine. The low mid-back lifts off the ground, so you can even slide your hand underneath if you're going this big. And on your exhale, try to flatten your spine onto the mat so that your tailbone slightly lifts. So we're focusing on the tilt of the pelvis. So inhaling, pelvis tilts down towards the heels. Exhale, belly button draws in, Spine presses against mat. Pelvis lifts. Just move through this movement with your breath. So let the breath guide you. And stay for as long as you want in any of these motions, just creating a space of awareness. It's a subtle move, but it can be really powerful. Taking 2 more breaths as you move. And when you're finished, you can draw both knees into your chest, wrapping your hands around your shins, your knees, backs of thighs, whatever feels good. And you might want to just pull them in. Maybe you want to rock from side to side, whatever feels good. And then keeping the left knee in towards the body, extend the left leg long on the mat. And if this doesn't feel good on your back, you can bend your knee and place your right foot on the floor. But holding left knee in, take a few ankle circles of the left ankle in one direction. And then the other direction. And then holding on to your knee lightly, take a few circles of the hip and the knee in one direction. And you might hear some pops and cracks. As long as there's no pain associated with that, be mindful if there's any pain. That's a sign to back off and just rest. And then whichever direction you started, go the opposite direction. And you can make these circles as big or as tight as feels good in your body. And then come back to center. Place your right hand on top of your left knee and gently draw the left knee over to the right, taking a very gentle twist. And you might even want to extend your left arm out to the side. And just breathe here for a few moments. Your gaze can go in any direction or simply look up towards the sky. Breathing into any places that might feel tight or tense. And then slowly roll back onto your back, bringing both knees in towards your chest. And then holding onto your right knee, extend your left leg long. And again, if that doesn't feel good on your back, bend your left knee, place the left sole foot on the floor. And we'll take ankle circles with the right ankle, one direction. And the other direction. And then we'll take those bigger knee hip circles with the right knee. So taking it in one direction. Noticing hips popping, bones popping, maybe a little adjustment. It's always a nice surprise. And then if you've chosen one direction, reverse and go the opposite way. But hips are commonly referred to as the junk drawer of our emotions. So a lot of things get stored there. I feel like I say that every time I teach because it's so true. Take your left hand, bring it to the outside of your right knee, and then gently bring right knee over to the left as you extend your right arm out. Take a gentle twist here. Noticing your breath. Trying to keep the breath smooth and long and relaxed. You're making any adjustments in your body so that you can get to that breathing state of relaxation. Okay, and then slowly come back up. Draw both knees into your chest. Give yourself a nice squeeze, hug here. This is referred to as Apanasana. And then slowly roll up into a comfortable seat. I'm going to turn to face you. Legs can be crossed. If this does not feel comfortable, you can even bring the legs out in front or back to Baddha Konasana. Placing your hands back on your knees, we're going to take some hip circles. So starting in one direction, kind of like your spine and your torso are stirring a pot. So again, these can be tight and small, or you can make them big and wild, maybe even lifting one hip off the ground as you circle. You can even bring your head, neck, and shoulders into the movement if that feels good. And then wherever you are, pause and reverse the direction. So circle in the other direction. And this is a lovely, gentle way to continue to warm up the muscles in and around the hips and the pelvis, but it also is a nice way to get the core, the abdominals engaged slightly and warm so that we can move and be less creaky. All right, coming back to center. Inhale both of your arms up overhead. Reach through the fingertips as you ground down into your hips. And then place your right hand down on the mat. As you exhale, bring your left arm up and over into a side body stretch. And if you want to, you can walk your right arm out and bring the forearm down onto the mat. Try to keep both hip points, both sit bones grounded, and extend from the hip all the way out through the fingers. And if it's better for you to bend your elbow, maybe rest your hand on the back of your head, feel free. Winter especially is a time of shivering, of kind of closing in. And so especially the side waist and the side body can get quite tight. Nice. Inhale, both arms lift. Exhale, left hand comes down this time. Inhale, right arm up and over. And again, feel free to bend the elbow, maybe bring the forearm down onto the mat. Keep the top arm straight or bend it. And try to counter this by pressing the right hip down. And that will help elongate the side body and intensify the stretch. Lovely. Slowly come back up. And then I'll invite you to stand up into Tadasana. So Tadasana, also known as mountain pose. Feet can be together, feet can be separate. So find a place that is comfortable for you. Bodies are different. So sometimes some bodies like the feet and the legs pressed together. Some bodies, it feels better to keep them slightly apart. Sometimes in our day and our month, it feels a little bit better to have one pose or the other. So work with what you have. Lift your toes to activate the soles of the feet, and then start to press the toes down. And even if you can't physically separate your toes, imagine that your toes can separate. I cannot physically separate my toes, but I like to imagine that they can spread. Draw energy up through the shins, the thighs, pressing the thigh muscles back. Pelvis is level, so imagine your pelvis is a bowl and the bowl is level, so you're not spilling any liquid. Hips, outer hips press in and up, sides of waist lift up, shoulders down and back. Arms can extend down alongside the hip. If you like, you can even bring a hand to belly and a hand to heart. And this is an adjustment that I personally appreciate because I'm always kind of have like the tendency to walk with my chin out. So try to mindfully bring your chin back so that your spine, your neck spine is in line with the rest of your spine. Drawing the belly button slightly in, the natural curves of your spine emerge. And just notice. Maybe even close your eyes and notice if that changes your experience. Or if you feel grounded and settled. And with your next inhale, slowly circle your arms up above your head. And be mindful that as you lift your arms, you're not pushing your belly forward. So you're keeping the integrity of your core and your spine as you extend the arms. And also notice how your shoulders are moving. So if you feel like your neck is being scrunched, maybe bring a gentle bend, maybe some goalpost arms instead. Whatever feels comfortable, so that you can get this sensation of lifting and lengthening while you're also grounding into your feet. And we'll stay here for just a few breaths, just noticing. And on your exhale, bring your arms out to the side and slowly bend from the hips. Start to bend the knees as you hinge forward and fold, Uttanasana. Standing forward fold. So I always like to bend my knees so that my abdomen, my stomach can rest on my thighs. If that works for you, feel free to do it. Maybe it's just your fingertips on the mat, maybe your whole palm. Maybe you want to grab opposite elbows here and just hang. But once you find that place, let the crown of your head descend down to the floor so that your spine is long. And try to bring the weight to balance over the arches of your feet. So this might bring up a sensation of falling forward, but don't worry, your hands are there to catch you. And you might even want to play with that sensation of bringing the weight forward, bringing the weight back, and then finding that balance in the middle. And this is a wonderful pose it's an inversion. So your heart is above your head. And inversions tend to be helpful in calming the nervous system, bringing some circulation back into the body, cooling, bringing a cooling sensation. And wherever your hands are, bring them either to your shins or above your knees. And we're going to extend forward into Ardha Uttanasana, half forward fold. So we're creating this right angle with our bodies. Shoulders back, spine is long, gaze is to the floor. And then exhale, come back down, hands to the mat, and step your right foot back. And if it's okay, bring your right knee down to the mat into a low lunge, Anjaneyasana. You can keep your toes tucked or you can untuck them. Hands can remain here, or you can bring your hands to the top of your left thigh. And really press strongly into your left foot. Slightly draw the chest and the torso back away from the thigh to create some space here. And notice the sensation in your hip flexor, your quadricep. This is really part of what we're accessing because many of us are sitting for a long time. And that's when we sit for a long time, these muscles tend to get tight and shorten. And the psoas, which is a really deep muscle, connects our lower body to our upper body. And it's really important. It's really important. I could talk for a long time, but I'll just say it's an important thing to remember. To keep open, to move. If you're here and you want to explore something else, you can even take your arms up. And maybe bend a little deeper. Maybe take this into a slight back bend here. Lovely. Imagine you're doing this beautifully. Plant your hands, tuck your right toes, and step your right foot forward to meet your left. Inhale, Ardha Uttanasana, halfway lift. Exhale, come back down and step your left foot back. Bring your left knee down onto the mat. Toes tucked or untucked, your choice. And I didn't mention this on the first side, but you want to make sure that your knee is not going too far past your ankle and that your toes are facing forward. So hands can rest on the mat, or you can bring your hands to your right thigh. And notice if this side feels any different. For me, this side definitely feels different. My left side, my left leg is way tighter than my right. If you feel like your breath is catching or tightening, it might be a sign to go a little easier on yourself. Maybe bring the hands down, decrease the bend in the knee, maybe take the knee behind the ankle to help relieve that pressure. And if this is hurting the knee, you can tuck the toes and keep the knee lifted, or you can bring some padding underneath the knee as well. And again, feel free to lift the arms up, maybe take a slight back bend. And then slowly plant your hands, tuck your left toes under, step your left foot forward to meet your right. Exhale, forward fold. And then activate your feet, bring your hands to your hips, and inhale all the way up to stand, Tadasana. And then take a giant step so that you're in a wide stance with your feet. Feel free to adjust. Take a look at your feet. Make sure that the outside edges of your feet are somewhat parallel so that your toes are pointing forward or even slightly in. And the heels might be pointing slightly out. Prasarita Padottanasana, standing wide-legged fold, another inversion, another lovely pose. So hands on hips. And start by, again, activating the feet, really grounding down into the soles of your feet, while also imagining that you're lifting your arches up. Strong legs, similar to Tadasana, so the energy draws up, thighs draw back, and with your hands on your hips, roll your shoulders back, press your chest slightly forward, elongate through your torso. And on your exhale, hinge from your hips and fold. You may want to start to bend your knees here and then bring your hands down to the mat. Can you press into your feet and straighten back into your legs? That's great. Otherwise, keep a little bend here. You might be on your fingertips. You might want to grab a book or a block to put your hands on instead. If you have the ability, you can start to walk your hands back so that your hands are in line with your feet. So kind of like what would be the arch of your hand is in line with the arch of your feet. And then from here, start to bend the elbows back, draw the crown of your head down to the floor. And again, start to bring the weight forward so that it's balanced over the arches of your feet. Take another breath or two here. And then bring your hands to your hips, maybe put a little bend into your knees as you slowly rise all the way back up to stand. Take a moment here. Sometimes being upside down can make you feel a little lightheaded. Certainly does that to me. And then when you're ready, step your feet together and we're going to take this down onto our bellies. So as gracefully as you want to, come to lay down on your stomach. And here's where a blanket or a pillow might be nice, might be nice to put underneath your hips or your belly for some additional support. And moving into Sphinx pose. So Sphinx pose, your elbows, we'll start with elbows underneath shoulders, palms flat and pressing down. And the palms are active as if you're pushing the mat or the floor away from you. And that pushing action We'll allow the chest to lift a little bit, gaze is forward, and tops of feet are pressing actively into the mat so that your knees are lifted. If this feels a little scrunchy or uncomfortable, you can widen your elbows, or you can bring your elbows forward. So this decreases the back bend, makes it a little more accessible. If this really doesn't feel good, you can always bring one hand on top of the other. Maybe bring forehead down. And back bends can be very energizing, but this is a nice one to end a practice because it's also very grounding. Take another breath or two here. And then when you're ready, if you're not there already, place one palm on top of the other. And just bringing the top of your forehead onto rest, onto the backs of your hands, and just let your knees, let your legs relax. And then when you're ready, you can push yourself up and back and meet in the pose we started in, which is resting on your back. And we'll spend a few moments with some guided meditation. So feel free to grab any props that might help facilitate some comfort. Pillows, blankets. If you liked having the soles together, like we did at the start of practice, you're welcome to take yourself back into that pose, or you can extend your legs out long, or you can bring the soles of your feet to the floor and have your knees bent. Lots of options. Hands can be palms up on the sides of your hips, palms down, or you can bring the hands back to belly or heart. So start to become aware of the entire body resting on the floor. And let your body sink down into the floor. Let it grow heavy. Let the bones settle and the muscles relax. And if you find that your mind starts to drift, just welcome it back to your breath as you inhale and you exhale. Become aware of your whole body, your whole body, your whole body. Welcome all sensation just as it is, without judgment. You can return to the intention you set at the beginning of our practice, if you made one. And if you did, just repeat it silently to yourself 3 times. Hold it, and then let it go. I'm going to do a body scan or a rotation of consciousness where I'll name different parts of the body. And don't try to concentrate, just listen to the words that as I speak and simply feel each part of your body as it is mentioned. Again, welcoming all sensation just as it is. And as I name each body part, it may be nice to imagine a warm golden light resting on that part. And as we move through the body, allow this warm light to travel. So start by bringing your attention to the right hand, and specifically to the right hand thumb, the second finger, the third finger, the fourth finger, the fifth finger, palm of the right hand, back of the hand, the wrist, the elbow, the upper arm, the right shoulder, the armpit, the right waist, the right hip, right thigh, the kneecap, the calf, the ankle, the heel, sole of the right foot, top of the foot, the right big toe, second toe, third toe, fourth toe, fifth toe. Become aware of the left hand thumb, second finger, third finger, fourth finger, fifth finger, palm of the hand, back of the left hand, the wrist, the elbow, the upper arm, the shoulder, the left armpit, the left waist, the left hip, the left thigh, the kneecap, the calf, the ankle, the heel, the sole of the left foot, top of the left foot, the big toe, the second toe, third toe, fourth toe, fifth toe. Now go to the back. Become aware of the right shoulder blade, the left shoulder blade, the right buttock, the left buttock, the spine, the whole back together. Now to the top of the head, the forehead, right eyebrow, left eyebrow, space between the eyebrows, the right eyelid, the left eyelid, the right eye, the left eye, the right ear, the left ear, the right cheek, the left cheek, the nose, tip of the nose, the upper lip, the lower lip, the chin, the throat, right chest, left chest, middle of the chest, the navel, the abdomen, the whole of the right leg, the whole of the left leg, both legs together, the whole of the right arm, the whole of the left arm, both arms together, the whole of the back, the whole of the front, the whole of the back and front together, the whole of the head, the whole body together, the whole body together, the whole body together. Start to become aware of your body again, noticing your breath, and start to deepen your breath into your belly and into your heart. Develop the awareness of your body from the top of your head to the tip of your toes. Become aware of the ground beneath you and the position of your body as you lay on the floor. With eyes closed, start to visualize the room around you, starting to become aware of your surroundings. And when you're ready, there is no rush. Start to slowly move your body, starting with the fingers and the toes, getting into the hands and the feet and the ankles. Again, there's no rush, no hurry, taking your time. And then when you do feel ready, feel free to roll to one side and then slowly sit up. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes. And I'll close our time together with a quote by Wayne Mueller. As we serve others, we are working on ourselves. Every act, every word, every gesture of genuine compassion naturally nourishes our own hearts as well. It is not a question of who is healed first. When we attend to ourselves with compassion and mercy, more healing is made available for others. And when we serve others with an open and generous heart, great healing comes to us. So I want to thank both of you for sharing this time. And I hope that you are able to access this sensation of rest and calm throughout your day and in other moments where you might need to call it in. So thanks to both of you. It's been a pleasure.